All right, let's make our way over to the NFC East. I have the Dallas Cowboys here at a B. Here's my thing with the Cowboys. It is a very, very, very boomer bust draft. If Tyler
Yeah,
Guyton
literally.
doesn't pan out, the draft probably looks pretty bad. Because I think Tyler Guyton, and we know the Cowboys can turn out like all-star O linemen and they can work out the flaws, and Guyton's pretty raw. I do like Nealand. Taking him at like, what is that, 56? I think he was more in the 70s range to me, but I mean, at the end of the second, you're kind of getting third-round guys anyway. I do really like the Cooper Beebe edition, and then Kalen Carson from Wake Forest, I think, adds to their cornerback room. So, Dobbs, what do you think about the Cowboys draft? I just think it's a lot of risk involved.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say on basically everybody except here's my thing. I actually am very high. You know me, I'm very high on Nealand. I actually love where he went. I think this was a fantastic landing spot for him. But I agree with you on Guyton, BB. It's definitely very boomer bust. I think if you're asking my favorite pick from this year's class for the Cowboys, actually, funny enough, I'm going to say Kalen Carson. Like, I think Kalen Carson, wherever you want to play him, whether you're going to play him on slot, outside, probably going to likely lean him on the slot. I think this is a guy who's got really, really good upside. He actually could be a really good pro for a long time. And you got him in the fifth round. This is probably my favorite pick from this year's Cowboys class. I think they got really good value in Kalen.
What do you think about Maris Lafu?
I see. He was one of my favorite linebackers in this year's class. I think what I will say is he definitely went earlier than I expected him to go. I don't know if I expected him to go in the third round. I thought maybe like fourth, fifth. But you know what? I feel like for the Cowboys, for a team that desperately needed to fill out another
Right.
linebacker need, I think I like taking the shot on Marist.
Any last thoughts on the Cowboys before we move over to the Giants?
No, just what you said. It's definitely we're gonna either look back on this class and say Tyler Guyton developed and Cooper Beebe developed and it was a fucking smash class, or we're gonna look back and just be like, there was a couple good picks in there, but it was definitely one of their weaker classes over the past few years.
Jerry Jones is all in. So we have
Yeah, but apparently so.
apparently it hasn't really shown, but the all in is re-signing Zeke.
Yeah, that is hilarious, bro.
New York Giants, we have a B plus. Dobbs, how do you feel about the Giants draft class?
I felt like honestly, here's what I'm gonna say. I loved the first four rounds. And then again, round 5 and 6, it's not like they were bad picks. I just feel like they could have probably filled out a few other needs that were maybe a little bit more pertinent. But at the same time, it doesn't really matter because you absolutely smashed the first four rounds. And I think you got fantastic upside literally at every position you took. And if Theo Johnson ends up being the guy that we think he could be with that RAS score over the next few years, I mean, this offense definitely got bolstered a lot in this year's draft class.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think the Malik Neighbors pick was kind of like common sense. Like, if you don't take Neighbors in that spot, I don't know what you're doing. Because my thing is, he reminds me of just like,
If
I'm
you
not
can take a
saying,
QB, like,
right. I'm not saying he is this player, but it's more of like, it's like the Jamar Chase pick. Like, if he's there on the board for you, like, don't pass him up. Like, you need to take him. Like, regardless if, like, obviously the Giants need help at receiver, but they need that playmaker. They just need blue chip talent on offense, which they don't have, especially after losing Saquon Barkley. So
you took the words out of my mouth. I was going to say blue chips. Just blue
yeah,
chips is what you need right now.
you don't have it at quarterback right now. So get as many offensive weapons as you can. I love Tyler Nubin. If he would have had a better combine or 40 time, he would have went in the first, in my opinion.
No, 100%, 100%.
Andrew Phillips, you're adding to the cornerback room, desperately need it. Darren Waller's possibly retiring. You get a tight end replacement. I actually do really like the Tyrone Tracy pick. I do think they could have possibly went with a running back earlier, strictly because of the fact of their room, in my opinion, looks putrid unless you're a Devin Singletary truther. I'm not.
I knew you were going to say that's hilarious.
I don't understand the hype. But anyway, overall, I think the Giants did a good job with the draft picks that they had.
No, you have got to be happy about this class. Or, yeah, the class if you're a Giants fan. And then two, I was going to say, because I didn't even touch on him, but you did. Andrew Phillips, This is a guy who was top 50 on a lot of people's boards, and you got him here at pick 70. Got to feel good about that value.
All right. Anything else before we move on to the Eagles?
Oh no, you're right. You know I'm ready to move on to the Howie Roseman Masterclass again.
Maybe one of the best drafts in the class, getting Quinyon Mitchell, arguably CB1 with Terrion Arnold, and then Cooper DeJean in the second round. Once they traded up, it just I was like, it's for Cooper. Like, it has to be for Cooper. So you get a safety, Cooper
No doubt.
DeJean, gonna play next to CJ Gardner Johnson, Quinyon Mitchell, Slay, Bradbury, like their secondary is revitalized.
Fully revitalized. And I was just, you know, like I said, I had to talk about my guy. I think Jalix Hunt, you guys got, I mean, the Eagles got in the third round, but potential to be a Pro Bowl type player in the future as long as you guys develop him the long term way. I think you've got so much upside right there. I love Will Shipley as the scat back in the fourth round. You know, give yourself some options right there. Aeneas Smith, good value in the fifth round. Jeremiah Trotter in the fifth round. I mean, what's going on with that? That's just ridiculous. That's just ridiculous.
The Johnny Wilson
And then
pick.
Johnny Wilson in the sixth. Dude, Johnny Wilson falling this far is kind of criminal. Maybe borderline felony.
Well, and I don't know if you're getting to it and I cut you off, but Trevor Keegan in the fifth. Like, this was just such a good draft for the Eagles. It's just like whenever they get on the clock, they're just taking, oh my God, maybe this is just the key to the draft, the best player available.
Yeah, I'm not even kidding when I say no. That's one thing for sure is that they fill needs when they have to fill them, but when it's not time to fill the need, they're just going BPA, and you have to respect it because that is how you build long-term success, generally speaking.
It just feels like sometimes that whenever they're on the clock, the need that they have just happens to be the BPA. And I wonder if that's why they maneuver around the board so much. Like, if you look at their picks, they had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 picks, and only 7 of them were traded spots.
No, like it's absolutely wild, bro. Absolutely wild. And they took so many guys that I think are going to be so much better in the NFL. Like their game is going to translate a lot better to the NFL than it did in college. Like it was just a smash draft class.
Rounding out the NFC East, we're going to go to the Washington Commanders, who had an A-.
Oh, wait, real quick, we forgot to say the Eagles grade. We forgot to say the Eagles grade.
We didn't say. Oh, I thought we did. Eagles A+. Eagles A+. Yeah, I already have that on the slide, but A+. My bad. Washington Commanders A-. We both actually were not too high on their offseason, their free agency, I should say. But I actually really like their draft. It feels like a lot like the Eagles, where they were just taking best player available, you know? I mean, the move up to get Jerzon Newton, I loved it.
Oh, I love this draft. And it's funny because when I saw a lot of like metrics that were measuring the quality of their draft, for whatever reason, a lot of people that were measuring it like said it was a really bad draft. They didn't like it. And there was a lot of reaches. I don't mind any of the picks that are potentially reaches. I think you got really high upside guys. They got a lot of, my guys in the class. Sinnott, Sanders-Still, Newton, Jaden Daniels. I know you're not as high on Jaden, but I'm LSU homer. I gotta have some love for Jaden. Like I'm gonna say this. I think you have to feel damn good about this class if you're a Commanders fan, especially Newton and Sanders-Still. Like your defense is going to be revitalized. If not a lot, at least significantly. I promise you that.
Well, I think McCaffrey even gives them some versatility on their offense as well. I think he's going to be an underrated pick for them. And I'll tell you what, Dobbs, if they would have took Drake May, this was an A+ draft class for me.
No, I think I love it just because I still love Jaden, but I think in terms of if they had found a way to have a succession plan for Drake May and let him sit for a year, and that was the case, yeah, no, it would have been A+.
I feel you. I think moving up to get Newton, we'll talk about one of the worst draft classes in the draft, but when a certain team moved up to take a player that they probably could have gotten their spot and let Newton come to the Commanders, I lost it. I was like, oh my God, I cannot believe the Commanders went up and got Newton.
Yeah, I cannot believe he fell past a few other players in that same position group without spoiling it, just like you're saying.
Well, it's like, also with Sanders-Still, I mean, you needed a corner, and I know a lot of teams really, really liked him. So to be able to get him at 18 in the second round, it was crazy. And then maybe one of the best tight ends in the draft in Ben Sinnott. Like, you loaded up on talent. So props to Adam Peters here. This is definitely much. I see the vision a little bit more with the free agency class. But overall, this draft class to me far outweighs what they did in free agency.
Oh, 100%. I was gonna say too. Did you see what Nick Saban said about Sandersville?
No. Oh, he said might be the best football player in the draft.
He said pound for pound, I think this might be the best football player in the draft.
That's crazy. That is crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. You got to feel damn good about that if you're Commanders fan.
Anything else on the Commanders?
No, not other. I think we touched on it all. But fantastic draft class, Commanders fans. Fantastic draft class.